Hi, can everybody hear me? We'll wait a couple of minutes for stragglers and then we'll begin. Okay, then let's begin. Jack, thank you for attending. Amy, thank you too. And we will be open for questions at the end of this class. This is Marketing Masterclass Webinar 1. It's being hosted by the Quinnipiac Chamber of Commerce, and I am Bob Davidson from RP Design Web Services. We are a digital marketing company, and what I want to talk to you about today is how you can better get more clients for your businesses, irrespective of what the businesses are, by identifying buyer intent, to identify that these are people that really want my services and products, and then look at who the competitors are and ways that you can win against them. And finally, the ability to drive 24 by 7 days a week leads to your website. At the end of this webinar, anyone who has stayed, we will have a special bonus. So there is a bonus for being able to get through the webinar, and we'll also have our questions and answers at that time. So let's go into what is happening in our world today and see how we can better compete. In today's businesses world, it's unfortunate, but 50% of small businesses fail within the first couple of years. And yet, 82% of successful small businesses cite digital marketing as a key factor, a key reason that they've been able to survive. Yet, very few have a real plan on how to use it, a strategy that extends more than a couple of days. And yet, you need a coherent strategy for your any kind of marketing and advertising because there's a cost associated with it, and this cost can be as simple as your time. What's the value of your time if you're doing it yourself? Or the cost of hiring an outside agency like RP Design to do it, or the cost of not doing any kind of digital marketing and seeing that your business is not flourishing. So, my question to you is your business positioned for sustainable growth? If not, then listen to how we can help with, and you could help with a coherent marketing strategy that is actually going out and attracting customers. We spoke to hundreds of local business owners, and they have all sorts of reasons for why things are getting tougher for them. Most are wearing too many hats to create a marketing plan. The local competition is getting tougher, and they don't have a clear, actionable strategy that won't break the bank. And again, there's a cost associated with anything that we do for our businesses, whether it's our time, it's the cost of outside help, or the cost of inaction. So, one of the things I did was look into why we're getting all of those reasons for not marketing. And then this quote sort of changed my mind on what great marketing is. And great marketing is always entering the conversation that customers are already thinking about. Think of that. Can we get inside a customer's mind on what they're thinking about, what they're feeling, what their expectations are, rather than our guessing? And if I can do that, then what type of content do I create for my business that convinces that customer that I am the best way for them to become successful? So, how do businesses get into customers' minds? Well, before artificial intelligence, it was fairly straightforward that most businesses had to be fairly large because there's a number of ways that they would do it. There would be focus groups, there would be surveys, there would be social media, they would use reviews, they would use case studies, and even search engine optimization of keyword research. But again, all of these take time, months, even years for most businesses to figure out. But what I'm talking to you about is a much faster way. And the faster way is predicated on our world, which is what do we do when we have a problem? We go and do a search for a dentist in Wallingford or a wedding dress, excuse me, in Las Vegas. So basically, we go on to Google and we actually do searches. Now, the searches themselves, with the advent of AI, have become more complex because most of the time today we're talking into a cell phone and we are adding a lot of different variations. But it turns out that keyword searches are the fastest way to know what your market is searching for and what it needs. It's there in front of all of us. And what type of information are the customers looking for? Well, some of it you control, like website traffic. In other words, your website is so focused on what they're looking for that it shows up on that first page of Google, and then is good enough to convince them to give you a call or fill out a contact form. You control that. You control the content like articles on your website, but there's other types of ways that clients can find you. And a lot of even marketers, but certainly businesses, forget about these and don't realize that there's video traffic, and these are sites like YouTube, Vimeo. There's social traffic, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. There's directory traffic, traffic from your listing or content on Google, Yelp, and Angie's. Now, you don't own these sites, but you certainly want to use them in order to get people to your website and then use what your website is designed to do, which is simply to get people to call you or fill out your contact form. So these types, 5 types of content can give you unlimited leads and opportunity 24 by 7 days a week, if we are clever enough to utilize them. So, what would happen to your business? Now, think about it. If you had hundreds more people visiting your website, watching your videos, and seeing you on social media, good things. But in order to do it, what you need is what we call market growth op research. Because without it, you don't know exactly what's in the mind of your prospect, and you don't know what kind of content to create to attract new customers. Because there's a lot of searches on Google and other search engines that people do, but don't generate very many actual leads. And then there's searches that have very high number of leads or clicks. Those of you that have done paid advertising like AdWord is aware of that. So what we advise is to identify 5 keyword search phrases that have very high buyer intent for your services or products, and then rank so that you show up by developing content for those keywords and phrases, and look at the results. Bring hundreds of new customers to you, and from hundreds of people going to your website, expect to get a tenth of that, or 5 to 10 new clients a month. And then you repeat and rinse this strategy, because Google is constantly getting new search terms, new ways that people are using to get to your business, and you need to adapt to it. So this is not a one and done strategy. This is a rinse and repeat, a monthly, every 30, 60, 90 days, and even annual program to keep you in front of your customers, in the same way that billboards are meant to keep people seeing you. But this is much more attractive than spending thousands of months letting people see you that don't really care about your services. This is focused on people that actually want or need your services and products. That said, we created a market growth op research strategy that does 5 things. And one is buyer keyword mining. Remember, I mentioned that there are key terms that are valueless because you're not the term that a buyer will actually use to purchase your services. And then we look at, for the key terms, what are the showing up on the Google's first page, for example, and look at the competition on that page and what their weak spots are. And for some, it may be that they don't use video, or they don't use social media, or they're not in a directory. These are things that we want to look at, because we want to make certain that we can actually show up. And then we do content engineering, which is to build content around all 5 areas of a keyword. And the 5 areas, again, are the website, the blogs, the social media, the videos. And finally, since there is a cost to this type of activity, whether it's a cost of your time because you're doing it yourself, or a actual cash cost, or a cost that you just are losing opportunities. Each week or month, we look for doing a analysis, and that analysis is in a report. So let's go into a little more detail on op research phase one, which is buyer key mining. I'll show you how we do it. Realize that we are heavily using artificial intelligence to make this a possibility. So we start big. We generate 500 to 5,000 keywords, and we window them down to the top 10 to 50 that have the most buyer intent. And some of these keywords we can immediately show up for. Some of them, the competition is tough enough that it takes more time. So there's a long and short term strategy for each keyword. Now, how does a market growth op research help a classical singer? Well, here is a beautiful website, but without looking at what would be effective, it would be a mousetrap that nobody knows about. And in the case of this classical singer, when we looked at the top 5 words that would generate the most traffic, it turns out that weddings, followed by church services, followed by funerals, you could see where we would focus our activity. Okay, now how can you do this yourself? With one way is simply if you're looking at, if you are in the pest control business, then you do a search for pest control and you'll see that you have over 300 million results, which says, hey, there's a lot of activity. If you pare it down and go longer term with pest control pet friendly, you're now down to 36 million results. Still a lot, but again, it's easier to show up. If you're doing cost per click, you can see there's a cost for each click on these terms. And pest control itself has 310,000 searches per month. So this is a way for you to use to see what terms are actually being used. Now, after you do this keyword mining, you now want to take a look at the competitors. And what we do is we dive deep for each of the top 100 to 250 keywords. We look at how the competitors are ranking, what's their authority, is there a possibility to show up. So if you need to evaluate the competitors that are showing up on that first term and assess what you can win against. For example, if you're selling burgers, don't really try to compete with McDonald's. A company like that is spending millions on their marketing. If you are a classical singer, you don't want to compete with Taylor Swift. So the way to get around that is to go local. So instead of trying to sell nationwide, sell in the town of Wallingford, sell on areas that are actually meaningful for you. So here we want to uncover our weak spots of the competitors. And of course, we do this by evaluating where they're showing up, how they're showing up, and develop a clear map on exactly which keywords to start with first to bring in more traffic, attract more customers, and grow your business. I was approached by one of our clients in pest control, and he said, Bob, I don't understand why this competitor is showing up all over the state of Connecticut. And I said, well, Edgar, take a look at their website and you'll see that they have landing pages for every town in Connecticut. And the Milford landing page actually says, we are based in Milford and we serve you. The Wallingford landing page says, we are in Wallingford or we are in Waterbury. So here is a competitor that you can outmarket because they're using, for example, content on their landing pages, but they're not using video. But it would be an expensive proposition to to develop landing pages for all these different sites, and it's not something that I would recommend you do by yourself. So what we do is build high impact content, and the way we do this is to look at the competitors that are showing up on that first page and of Google, find out why they're showing up, how they're showing up, and then develop content for your website, for articles, for videos, directories, and for social media. So this expands your reach. It connects to new audiences because now it'll bring people onto you that were not aware you even existed before. Here's an example of how you can do it yourself. In this case, the key term is affordable pediatric dental care. This client is located in Milford, Connecticut, but we not only have great content, which is more or less optimized for that term, but also a video. So we're using different forms of media on the website, and you can do the same. So with regard to the visibility analysis, again, you're spending time. You want to see where you're ranked, what you're not ranked for, and get a clear snapshot of where you stand and where you can grow fast. So the right keywords are the key to driving unlimited free traffic. And once you know them, you want to post content on social media, on the website, on the blog, on video, on directory listings. And you want to discover what your customers are asking Google. Uncover the exact phases your local customers use in searches. And again, if you're a local business in Wallingford, then you want to focus on the town of Wallingford and grow out from there. You don't want to find that you are a construction company and it's somebody in Los Angeles that needs construction help. So you want to identify untapped local search trends before your competitors, align yourself with what the customers are actually thinking about and seeking, and optimize your marketing to match their behavior and attract more local customers by speaking their language. I mentioned the dentist earlier. This dentist was struggling with chain competitors and no patients from the web in 2 years. Now, aligning with his customers was to identify an underserved local market segment, and it turned out that a lot of people in that area were looking for a bilingual dentist, a dentist that could speak Spanish as well as English. And of course, if you don't say it, they don't know it. And that was part of the content marketing. The results are a patient a week for 4 months coming off the web and identifiable either through a contact form or through the call, and successfully launching in areas that he did not show up before in Connecticut. And some of our clients that are doing this is getting calls and leads while competing with larger companies. And that's the key. You don't have to outspend them, you have to outmarket them. And finally, a clear plan for growth that doesn't require a big corporation's budget. Okay, so what's the strategy for you to move forward? One is to understand the unique challenges of local businesses and tailor to your specific local market. Now, that doesn't mean if you have a unique product, you can't go nationwide. Just realize that unless your product is unique, you'll have so much competition that the chances of you showing up without professional help uh, are not very large. And focus on practical, affordable solutions and have support to help you implement and adjust to strategies. And that's part of why we're having this webinar discussion today. Now, I mentioned early on that those of you that have gone through this class, there's a bonus. And the bonus has a value, but for you, it's free. And basically, if you like, we will look to market growth indicator that this is a market that you want to be in. We'll look at the top 100 to 150 companies. We'll identify 10 areas that make sense for you. We will do opposition ranking research for you and develop a content brief. And what this brief will do is allow you to, here's how you should change your website content. Here's how you should do a video or do a video. Here's how you should post on social media to allow you to dominate that key term. We'll do all of this for you if you decide that this is something you want to pursue. And the way to pursue it is to contact me, Bob Davidson, at 203 Again, I'm with RP Design Web Services, or schedule a meeting at rpdesign.com/meet. Again, that's rpdesign.com/meet. It's only 10 minutes of a conversation. And again, we will generate a brief that you can use to dominate for a key term that will make money for your business. Okay. Are there any questions or anything that you would like to discuss with me at this point that goes beyond what we just were looking at? Patrick, Madeline, Tracy, Lewis? In that case, I want to thank you for your time. And unless you want to speak at this point, and have a great day, and look forward to seeing you again at one of our future master classes.